Yeah, I know.
That's my second. But you can do no questions. Flavor.
We will be collecting the public comment sheet, so if anybody came in and did not, and would like to sign the public comment, it is up here on the. Ready to begin this meeting of the Sandwich Public Library District, the general meeting of the Board of Trustees on Tuesday, March 11, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. We'll begin with roll call. Jen?
Here.
Heather?
Here.
Matthew?
Here.
I'm Jane. Barb?
Here.
And Julie? Here. All right. Do we have any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda? Okay. Hearing none. Before we begin to public comment, a few guidelines. All remarks should be addressed to the board rather than to any individual trustee. Neither the board nor the director is expected to respond. This is your time to speak. To promote decorum and mutual respect, members of the public are expected to refrain from displays of approval or disapproval, such as applause or laughter when a speaker is addressing the board. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. A trustee of the board will keep time. Please wait for her signal to begin. It is the responsibility of the board representative alone to notify a speaker when time has expired. If the speaker does not give back the floor to the board president will remind them that they are out of order. It is out of order for other members of the public to call for the speaker to stop. Please refrain from speaking before, during, or after someone else's public comment and allow the board president to moderate. The board president retains the right to stop any speaker who uses profanity or abusive language during public comment. If the speaker has a request of the board, this should be made within the 3 minutes of allotted speaking time. We will begin with our first speaker, Barb Petrie.
I can tell by programs you have hosted or plan to yet host that this board kindly desires to help the hurting in the community. For example, February's calendar included an ancestral healing practitioner, and in March you are offering a meeting for meditation. From what I understand, these facilitate connecting with the souls of ancestors and connecting deeply with self. Please consider the following in light of these public services you have chosen. We humans are like Play-Doh, in that an outside force much greater than ourselves shapes and forms us. Amazingly, and a step beyond the Play-Doh parallel, our fashioner also breathes life into us. We are living souls housed in a tent of flesh. Eventually, regular Play-Doh that has been used dries out. It has nothing to offer fresh Play-Doh. And just as dried out Play-Doh cannot help still pliable Play-Doh, dead ancestors cannot help living people. Inasmuch as it is ancestral souls, not their corpses, being consulted, these souls are still merely souls of dead humans. High and lofty, they are not equipped or capable of providing the wisdom, insight, understanding, love, comfort, hope, and supernatural overcoming redemptive power which will solve, free, forgive, fresh, nurture, guide, stabilize, and restore the troubled, burdened, broken, soiled hearts and minds of living humans. We need something, someone greater. Ultimately, when a still pliable Play-Doh creation finds that it has been accidentally or intentionally squished, squashed, and deformed, it cannot fix itself by quietly looking inward. The ruined creation needs attention from the one who formed it in the first place, the only one who has the know-how and ability to lovingly and skillfully repair and renew the creation. Humans, God of all comfort and all hope, whose name is most wonderful counselor, and who is the mighty deliverer, in whose presence is peace, cleansing, and fullness of joy, which then becomes our strength. These two programs you have chosen revolve around encounters with the unseen realm. Thankfully, in this nation, we are free to introduce people to the unseen Most High God, the creator and sustainer of life, who wondrously calls to each of us by name. He is accessed through Jesus Christ. If this board were to offer activities facilitating personal encounters with this very God, whom this nation is under, you would be providing an exceedingly and great worthwhile public service to the people in this community. He is the one with whom we all need to connect. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. Elsie Morrissey.
I came with two,
Just a minute. Okay, go ahead.
I came with two suggestions. One, for the third or fourth month that I have come, asking you to start your meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance out of respect for the country and for patriotism. It's a good thing to do. It's us. It's not a minus, and it'll only make our library board more conducive to the spirit we want in our whole country. Second thing, I've been talking to Barb about include having a community day at the library to support the school's science fair exhibits and the children's science fair projects. And that we should find a way to do this. And I went to see Superintendent Sodaro, and he was excited about this. He really wanted to do this, and he even expanded my suggestion to say, why don't we have an art fair too? We have an art fair here at the school. Wouldn't the community love to see the art projects that the children do in the school? And I thought that was a great idea myself. And then Barb today, she said this was my project for the library board. And so I took her seriously with that. And I went back to the superintendent and he wasn't there, but I will follow up. I'm finding a way that we can support the school's science and art and the academic progress of students in the library. And so that the community can applaud them and take pride in our children and the projects that they do in school and become more aware of science projects themselves. And I would love to come if I had a grandchild, a niece, an aunt, a nephew, someone who I cared about, a friend, a neighbor. I would come to see that. And I think it will help generate support in the community for what the children are doing in school. And that's only a plus. That's not a minus. And we should try to find a way to do it. And so I brought the SAT scores, and we are above the state average. The state average was 53% of the children are proficient in science. Sandwich is 61%, and that's good. But it's not enough. It's not the end. So we should want to encourage that and expand on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, thanks again for being who you are. Metaphysical and yoga programs at the library have been a great programming addition and they've been really appreciated. It's really great that us blocks and Play-Doh can appreciate our creator and spirituality in ways that help us to be better people, learning through learning more ways to encourage peace and amongst us. So I think, it's a great thing for people to participate in. You can learn something. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, we'll move on then to the business of our meeting.
If I could, I'm late, I'm coming from work, would I be allowed to?
I'm
No?
sorry.
I'm sorry.
He can?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you can.
Yes,
She tells me you can.
I deeply appreciate it, thank
You
you.
bet.
Let me get our timer.
Oh,
I'll let you know when it's ready. Okay. Go ahead and start.
Just go. Couple. My reason for being here is actually I'd like to ask for permission. I would like it if I could give a lecture. My name is Brian Kubisak. I've lived here all my life. I went and did some service in the military, came home. I am currently studying out of Wabansi and NIU. I've been doing the engineering program and a post-Civil War American history study program, basically. My whole shtick is that today, in today's atmosphere, we seem to be lacking two things: critical thinking skills and the basic understanding of civics, right? So I would like to give a lecture, just 2 hours. We can set a date where it'd be about an hour and 15 minutes of just me kind of explaining. I can go through some of the sources. I'll have a few content creator videos to kind of reference, as well as a few books to go through. Some I've even found in the library here and have helped me throughout my life. And I'd really like to explain critical thinking. I feel that critical thinking, as well as it's been proven, it's evidence-based, that it expands literacy and it expands reading comprehension. In fact, critical thinking is something that is focused on by several different countries within Europe, and they found that the increase in academic performance was exemplary. You can look at this in the Nordic, Swedish, Finland, and Norway have all implemented these trial programs, and they're seeing great success. The second thing that we're lacking is a basic understanding of collectivism and what it means to have a government. And I'd really like to explain that. And I'd like an opportunity to do a part two, another about 2 hours. Oh, I'm sorry. So the hour and 15 minutes is me explaining the topic and giving my perspective, as well as some other perspectives and referencing materials. I can give you a list of those, as well as a Q&A. Anybody who has any questions, I'm more than willing to answer. I keep it simple, but I love an opportunity to speak to my community, and I think that the library is definitely a good spot to start. Yes, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, we'll move on then to our action items of our consent agenda. First thing is there any of the board that would like to remove anything from the agenda?
The general minutes. Last one.
Okay. The general minutes, we'll take those out for discussion. Is something in particular you want to go ahead and tell us, Heather?
Jane and Matthew, you were gone last month. And it says, in the beginning, it says that you're gone, but then everything that says absent afterward is 0. Instead of 2.
Okay.
Is that where, does it say absent or abstain?
It's an
Absent.
Okay.
So that's it. It's just a typo thing.
Okay. Mhm. So we will correct those general minutes. And so then we can go ahead then and do a vote here on the, as long as that was just a correction, we'll go ahead and vote on the whole package of minutes then. I need a motion to approve then the consent agenda. Jen moves to approve the consent agenda. A roll call vote. Jen? Aye. Heather?
Aye.
Matthew?
Hi.
Julie? Aye. And I say aye. Right, moving on then to the old business. Barb, you want to give us an update on the new?
Yes. You may or may not have noticed something new installed on our walls in the back. I'm very happy to state that the mural has been officially installed, but it is secret for everybody. You cannot see it. It will be unveiled on April 4th. And as I have been the past few months or through this whole project, I just really want to say thank you to Petite Palette in particular and Virginia Grimes for funding this program with her trust through the library, and Petite Palette for really helping the vision come to life and bringing in community members of all ages to work together to complete this magnificent thing that I'm very, very proud of and proud to bring to the library. So April 4th will be the big reveal. It's a Friday. It is after hours, and it will be from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. 6:30 to about 7:15-ish will be invite only, so that the students and the families of all the people who worked on this project have an opportunity to come to see it first. And then we will open it up to any member of the public to come in around 7:15 all the way to 8 to view it if you'd like to come after hours. If not, it will be available anytime for the rest of the time when this building is here. So it's a really fun story, and we will have a plaque and a book available to give a little bit more background of what this mural was for. So I'm very happy it's all installed and ready to go.
Very exciting. Look forward to it. All right, moving on to the emergency action guide project. Barb?
Yes, so this was my goal for this fiscal year, was to really begin putting together an emergency action guide that would cover any scenario that we could think of in order to be a resource for staff to be prepared to handle. We had one before, but it was severely outdated, and I did not have a digital copy to edit. So I wanted to make this a living document so that for the foreseeable future, anybody could come in and edit it as needed, and it could continue to grow from where it originated from. So I have begun this, and I've put together, I think I'm at around 40 pages or so. And this was the first time the board has been able to review it so far. So if you have any thoughts or comments about progress, please let me know.
Well, in my opinion, it's like totally more than I would have ever expected. All the areas, I mean, covered just so far so good. But I mean, it's just comprehensive. So I just commend Barb on the work she's done on it so far. And as she said, this was her goal, and she's continuing to work on it. And once we see the finished project, I think it'll be a major accomplishment. So good job so far. Okay, so any other comments? Let's move on to the director's report, Barb.
So you may have noticed in the board packet that I switched things up with my report a little bit. Instead of including a list of the trainings and meetings that I attend, I thought it would be easier and time saving for me to just print my calendar out for you. So that's what I'm going to do moving forward. It will be as a separate document that will just be labeled as like my report with a calendar on it. And then the rest of the report will stay the same. So just a note on the change of structure. Do you like that? Was that easy to interpret?
I like it.
Okay.
I'll get used to it.
If you would, I can figure out something else, Heather.
No, it's a working in progress. It's good.
Okay,
It's fine.
okay. Smarter, not harder, right?
Yes.
Right. Second, staff in service. So that is scheduled for March 28th. We are working on marketing to make sure the public is aware that the library will be closed that day. I worked with our website administrator to incorporate a new feature called Engage Box for our website that will allow staff to be able to provide emergency notices on our page as pop-ups or as like a big line on the top of the screen. So it's just more apparent and easy to see if there is an unexpected closure and an unusual situation that's going on at the library. We were able to use it this weekend when we closed to the public for the building, but not services on Saturday. And I think that went pretty well because staff did share that we still had multiple patrons come using those services, even though the building is closed. So that worked quite well. I am planning the topic, the primary topic for training is going to be in correlation with this emergency action guide that we're creating, but I'm going to focus on the things that I think are going to be the most prevalent, which is fire safety, inclement weather issues, and any like potentially violent person interaction. So we'll have the fire department and the police department coming out to do 1 hour sessions each to help do trainings, fire drills, and then trainings in any kind of scenario with an issue with the public. So we'll be doing that. And then we have a team activity afterwards that I'm going to remain silent because I don't want to spoil it for some of my staff members, but that is established. If you want to know, let me know and I will email it to you. Then I'm hopeful it will be fun. Secrets. I like the secrets.
Something fun.
Yes. Third, the door closer. So this door right over here, the door closer on the left door was broken. So the door kind of swings really wildly. Just a note that a replacement has been ordered and Mike will be installing it by the end of this week. And for the board candidate bios. So we have early voting coming up at the library, March 17th through March 28th, 8:30 in the morning until 4:30 every single day within that time frame, including the weekends when we're normally closed. And I thought, everybody wants to learn more about their representatives. And so I wanted to extend invites to every candidate that's running to provide a bio, just a few sentences describing who they are, what their background is, and their interest in running for the library board. And it is not intended to be campaigning for anything. It is intended to learn who your candidates are going to be on this ballot. And so those have been published on the website. So if you're curious, you can go ahead and go on the website to look at those bios. It is available through the slideshow and also through the About Us tab.
To new business. I think you're going to tell us about National Library Week.
Yes. So National Library Week is the first week of April. It directly follows our mural reveal. And so usually we do a nice thing for staff throughout that week where some board members will pick a day to provide treats. And we usually cater lunch on the staff day, which is generally Wednesday. I'll verify that. But just putting the feelers out there for all of you, and I'll send an email to everybody if you'd like to participate in providing some sort of fun little snack, or if you want to do a card or something, we can begin coordinating that.
Dates on that again?
The date. It will be March 31st through April 7th through April 11th.
All right. Okay.
I want to say one more thing. I'm sorry. So we also will be having a library services program in next month, which coordinates with National Library Week, where our wonderful adult services coordinator is going to be putting on a program that teaches the public about a lot of the services that we offer that we've noticed a lot of people may not know about. It's a surprise when we mention it. So we wanted to provide more opportunities for the public to learn what we have to offer that goes beyond the realm of what you may just assume libraries are for. So look after that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's something we had talked about, especially with the new Udemy. Is that how we're pronouncing it now?
Udemy. I'm never sure how to pronounce it. I think it's Udemy. I don't know.
I mean, it's, yeah, anything, anytime we add something new, plus the old, you know, things that a lot of people may not know about. I think that's a great, great opportunity to get the word out. Yes, very good.
Jane, yes, I wanted to put this on the agenda to celebrate Jane Wolf with her serving 10+ years on our library board. Technically it's 11, but that last year was wild. So I just wanted to share, we have this beautiful plaque for the Sandwich District Library trustees that have 10 years or more of service, and you have earned your rightful spot on this plaque.
Hey, along with somebody else I know.
Yes.
Thank you.
See, thank you for all of your service.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for all the work.
Okay, please, yeah.
I can fly back with you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we will.
Not necessary, but as long as we're talking 10 years, I might as well mention at this point that this happens to be 10 years for Bart Posinger to be at the library. And so I don't have a plaque, I don't have flowers yet. But recognition, 5 years as director. And so, yeah, we have been those 10 years together. Okay, well, on that note, let's go on to some committee reports. So we'll start with building and grounds, and Nancy is not here, so I'm assuming there's no report.
There's no report. I'll give a little update. Nothing has moved forward, but this is the month where A and B will be reaching out to me to officially schedule the window replacement. So expect next month there will be more information coming through there.
Okay, we'll look forward to that. For sure. Hopefully, you know, we won't have any major rainstorms before that.
Well, if we do, our staff will be prepared.
Okay. Finance, Jen.
I'll use the time that building and grounds.
Okay, yeah, you go for it.
So, Steph, I've got a lot of information tonight.
Yes, you do.
If you would like to pull up your account listing, that might be helpful as I'm speaking through this information. So at the outset, I just want to be clear, this is a lot of information tonight. Just sharing what the finance committee has learned so that the board as a whole can decide if we'd like to move forward in the direction that I'll be describing. So as you know, the finance committee has been reviewing our investment accounts, which is what you'll find on the account listing, to determine if our funds are in investment vehicles or if we might consider alternatives that might yield higher interest rates. So if you look at the account listing, at the very top is our primary checking account. We're not talking about that account tonight. Beyond that, we have 9 additional accounts, savings accounts, and additional checking, some CDs in the money market. I'd like to draw your attention to one of these accounts. It's listed at the bottom section of the liquid fund. It's the Illinois Fund. It's a small investment account that we currently hold that has been largely overlooked. After our last board meeting, Sean, trustee from the Park District, just mentioned to us that the Park District uses Illinois funds exclusively for their investments. And so just based on his input, we looked a little bit deeper into the program. And we got a lot of good information. So as you saw from the information provided in tonight's packet, Barb sent some Illinois funds documents with the packet. Illinois Funds is a local government investment pool run by the Illinois State Treasurer. It's existed since 1975. So this is a long-standing investment pool. A number of municipal bodies, Illinois municipal bodies participate in the fund, including the City of Sandwich, Park District. We have our fund as well as, I think it's 173 other Illinois libraries. So it is certainly a large. Cool. Okay, so as we were learning, Finance Committee discovered that we have not been taking full advantage of this investment vehicle, and there are a number of benefits. to shifting more of the library's money into Illinois funds. So first of all, we could be earning more interest. While interest rates everywhere are being driven by national economic trends, Illinois funds interest rates are among the highest available and most competitive. If anyone is interested, there are historical charts on our website that show how Illinois funds have performed over the years. We looked at that. We also discussed that with our representative last week. Liquidity. The funds in Illinois funds are 100% liquid. We would have access to them at any moment. Unlike CDs, when we put our money in a CD, that money is frozen until maturity. We would always have the option to withdraw and invest the money elsewhere if for some reason we find that there's another interest rate in another vehicle, not likely compared to what we were seeing with their historic data. We'll come to this little pie chart. There is inherent diversification built into Illinois funds. In the investment policy, we're going to discuss a little bit later. One of the sections in there is about diversification, stating that that it is the aim of the library to seek diversification to manage risk. There's diversification built into the Illinois funds. If you look at this pie chart, what their management portfolio management team does is they invest the money into various vehicles. So some of the money may go into corporate bonds, some into commercial paper. And so this pie chart will change over the years depending on the economy and which funds are most lucrative. Yeah, that would yield more interest. So this is just an example from the fourth quarter of 2024, and you can see where some of the money is being invested. And I did go back historically, and you'll see it shifting. So inherent diversification. Let's see. With the built-in diversification comes simplicity. Since we would be investing here, it would eliminate the library's needs for seeking out diversification. That's one of the reasons we have 9 different accounts right now, because we were looking to diversify. And that creates management and maintenance issues for BARB. So this way, all the money's in one place, being invested in a number of different vehicles, and reap the benefits from that. Additionally, we learned from our representative, there are sub-account options. So while we have this umbrella account for the Sandwich Public Library District, we would have the ability to essentially create buckets where we can earmark information and set aside, well, this little sub-account would be for, say, construction. This little sub-account might be for those special reserve, those dedicated funds that we might like to specify at any point. So that was nice. And then the safety of the funds. I'm going to cite information directly from their website and from the email from them. The Illinois Funds Portfolio Management Team is bound to a strict investment policy. The funds undergo weekly compliance and risk reviews and monthly stress tests. Illinois Funds is bound by the Illinois Public Funds Investment Act. In short, the monies are secured. More detailed information on the security of the funds is reflected in some of those emails that Barb shared, as well as on the Illinois Funds website. So in your spare time, you can go. Now, there is an administrative fee for the fund, but it will never exceed 0.25%. So that's really nominal for what you would likely not see that.
Is that 1% of interest or?
So when we spoke with Amber the other day, so let's say the current interest rate is 4.5%. They would just glean that administrative fee off of that. So the interest rate would then be at most, or at least 4.4, what's a quarter of a percent, 4.75. So
it's a 0.25% of the interest that we pay now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay. So just to give you kind of a picture, our Illinois Funds account currently sits at about $2,700. And Barb shared our interest statement this month, which was $950. Over the course of the year, that adds up to $114. Now, to give an example, based on the current interest rate and the average interest rate over last year, if all of our savings and investment monies had been in this account, that would have translated to approximately $41,000 in interest alone. Without the need for any accounting, monitoring, maintenance, no contacting the banks to get the next CD interest rate. And the funds are available at any moment. In fact, she told us the cutoff time is 11 a.m. and then we can still get the money that afternoon. So it's readily available to us. And therefore, the Finance Committee is recommending that we move our savings and investment funds, not touching the primary checking, but move all the other funds into our existing Illinois funds account to maximize our interest earnings. But before taking that action, we just wanted to present this research to the board, let you chew on it and consider it. We won't be taking any vote tonight. This is just for your information, and you can do some looking online if you choose over the next month or so. Now, with that, the board previously voted to authorize Barb to transfer $20,000. Again, if we look at her account listing, we had authorized her to transfer $20,000 into the Old National CD upon maturity, and then also into the FNBO CD upon maturity. If we opt to move all of our savings into Illinois funds, that would supersede the decision that we made previously. Now, a couple of notes regarding our accounts. If you look at the top liquid funds section, there is an ELS, the $1,500 account there at First National Bank that says ELS transfers. That's the account that Barb created as a pass-through for the license renewals. The purpose in doing so was to simplify how it shows up on our budget report each month. And Barb said it's really not doing that, is it?
No.
So we've determined that that's really not a necessary account. So we could, we would be eliminating that anyway. And then the Old National Grant Fund at the top, which is approximately $33,000, that's being used for the windows. Correct me if I'm wrong, Barb. Okay. So that's just the status of those two accounts. Okay, right. This is the first part of the Finance Committee report. And if the board is interested in pursuing this path, then we have some work to do in learning what steps we can take place to shift the fund. Again, no decisions tonight. Think about it. We'll revisit down the road. Next, the library invests public funds in part to create financial sustainability for the future, but also to increase our financial standing and through interest to generate more funds for library operations and development. We are thankful for the safety net our predecessors have established through these accounts, but there's a balance between holding money and being good stewards of public funds. That is putting money to work in ways that benefit the community. That said, the library has had funds sitting in investment accounts for years and nothing has ever been done with the accrued interest. Moving forward, one option is that this investment change would allow us to use interest from our Illinois funds account to fund library projects. Each year, we could use a percentage of the interest earned from the account for library operations while still maintaining our principal and allowing for growth. The percentage of interest withdrawn each year could be defined based on project proposals from the library staff each year. Now, because the library has never used any of its investment interest for library projects previously, the Finance Committee would like to propose withdrawing $20,000 from our savings for the 2025-2026 operating budget. By doing so, Barb would be able to proceed with and complete the microfilm project and use any remaining balance from that project for other library initiatives. And just to offer some perspective, $20,000 equals only 1.98% of our savings and investment money. So we'd like to use less than 2% of our savings for library projects. Again, lots of information. So we want to offer time for questions and give everyone some time to digest and consider. But I guess the question for tonight is whether we'd like to move forward with these few ideas. We can wait till next month to take any action, but, what do y'all think? That's what I said.
So as you have, you know, as the finance committee has had conversation about it. Have you got a pros and cons sheet going in terms of thoughts on, you know, it sounds all very pro.
Yeah.
At this point, like a no-brainer, but it sounds like there should be a con somewhere on there.
So the
Or
con,
is it a con?
the con, okay, one
Yeah.
con, of course, is the administrative fee, which is really nominal. We asked, because I have my own pros and cons from, there it is. Questions that we have. We had risks and questions in our discussion. The administrative fee, the insurance of funds, because these funds are not FDIC insured, which is really what got this ball rolling. Because one of our accounts, the savings account at FNBO, and in fact, our checking account also exceeds the $250,000 FDIC insurance, which we said since collateralization at the bank. But the Illinois funds are not FDIC insured as we think of at the bank. But they are AAA rating, and in order to maintain that AAA rating, they have to invest in good companies that will maintain their AAA rating. So that's where that link that Amber sent takes you to, here's all the safety measures and how the risk is managed. So that was one concern that we had, that it doesn't have the FDIC insured, it's still safe. And we did ask Amber the question the other day, what reason would there be for, you know, why wouldn't someone do this? Because we're thinking, I heard someone say, sounds too good to be true, because we're thinking the same thing, and asked her, what would prevent someone from investing here? She said, one of the objections that has on occasion arisen is, you know, the desire to support local banks. That was another reason that we have multiple funds and different banks in the area. She indicated one other time that someone who was on the board of one of the groups she was working with had someone who had a relative working in the banks, and they wanted to keep that relationship in place. So aside from that, I think the pros outweigh the.
Did you at all in your conversation talk about show like not doing everything, not taking everything and investing it, but a portion of our funds, putting it into Illinois funds and leaving some of the money?
Well, if you look at it, I guess that's a question for what do we hope our funds will do for us? Okay, because if you look at the interest rates listed there, the Illinois fund is exceeding all of the interest rates we currently have in any of our accounts. Come up here to our primary savings and checking where there is no interest whatsoever. So if we could be capturing through interest. We did talk about, would it be beneficial to maintain a savings account? Just in case, it's a little bit of a safety net. But then we realized, wait, all that money is liquid. And we could have it within a day if we need it. So we would still maintain our primary checking and then all of the other funds that are listed here.
And I suppose one option would be if you want to support multiple local banks, break up checking across multiple local banks.
Well, the other conversation we had was how local are our banks anymore with the buyouts and,
And Illinois funds is Illinois,
Illinois,
so it's still local to the state.
Is the Illinois funds vote? Is there physical?
Springfield, I presume, it's through the Illinois State Treasurer that operates there.
And you indicated that the Park District uses it.
174 libraries. in
Tons of
Illinois.
local
You can,
libraries.
Jane, that's something you can go online and they have participants. And you can put in type of municipality, municipal government. And you put in park districts and it populates all the park districts who are part of this. Sunrock Library participates, Plano Library participates. It was really quite eye-opening.
I was
To
just.
see how did we miss this? We don't even know when, we don't know when the Illinois Funds account, library account was started. So thanks, Sean.
And just the list of libraries, just libraries.
You know, so some of the questions as we were evaluating that investment policy, you know, using banking and investment language that we're all going, man, this is legalese. This portfolio is managed by people who know all that stuff. So that's nice.
Because we spent so long trying to fix our finances and now we're in a pretty stable spot. That now it's time to start thinking bigger. What can we do? And I don't know what grant systems are gonna look like in the future. I don't know what accessibility there's gonna be with that. So maintaining the money also, I think it does right by the community because otherwise it's just sitting and doing nothing. We're not touching, we didn't even know about half of how these worked because we had a transition of so many directors and they didn't know what it was. And so it was difficult to unravel. But now we have a very clear picture, I think, of what these accounts look like. And the management of so many different pieces is very difficult to maintain. Like watching those 10-day maturity lines, and if I miss it, it's like that's it for a long time. It can be done, and I can do it. It's just this would make it a lot more easier if things started to go wrong. If the economy was doing poorly and Illinois funds started to go down, we could receive the money to take the money out.
However, what I would mention with that is if interest rates drop in Illinois funds, that also means that CD rates are dropping. Yeah, so it's reflective of the entire economy. If you look at their charts, so they're still garnering one of the highest interest rates available, given whatever the economic condition is.
Isn't it pretty stable between 4% and 5% all year last year?
Yes. Yeah. And the other thing with the CDs, generally, we were seeing that the shorter term CDs have the highest interest rates. So that means Barb every 3 to 5 to 6 months. You know, I just really think her time could be better spent on library things rather than chasing accounts down.
That's what makes it attractive for me, just knowing the simplicity that it brings. And even just looking at it, but then for you as, and
is there, this, I know I followed the whole email train, that is that the contact person that, you know, that we go through when we start the process, or is she the marketing person, or, you know, if and when we're ready to say, all right, let's do this, then is there like one person that you are in contact with that gets the ball rolling and,
Well, we already have a fund. So as we asked Amber the other day, would this simply be a matter of transferring more money into it? So yeah, you're all set up. We have the fund in place already. So we need for help if there's any.
Yeah.
Any
She would be a
questions.
point of contact, but they have a lot of different, like subcategories of people who work different roles. So they just transfer you to whomever you need. When Jen and I were discussing figuring out a time to reach out to them to go over this material, I just emailed their general hotline. And then they transferred us to Amber and they transferred us to who we needed to go to. So I guess it depends on the question. We might have a different person be answering depending on what we're
so
looking
there's support services out.
for. Yes.
And that was the other thing, really good experience in working with her. She replied right away. We had a meeting within days and, it was just a good customer service experience that we worked with.
And then what about all the CDs? Is it worth it then to close the CDs and take the penalty for the early withdrawal?
Well, we were thinking of that as well. You know, if you look at our CDs down here, 3 of them mature in 2025, 2 in May, 1 in July. The other one that's a little further out is June of 2027, and it's at 1.89%. And so Barb and I had that conversation. Boy, we'll have to ask them what the penalty is. It might serve us better to do an early. So that would be one of the steps. If we think, yes, we want to proceed and move forward, that we have to gather some information.
My question is, are you thinking, is the financial committee thinking that we might want sub-accounts, we might want little buckets?
I don't know that we have necessarily identified any. But in part of our moving into let's evaluate our accounts, part of that, the purpose in doing so was to say, do we want to dedicate certain, this is for a certain purpose, this is for a certain purpose. We haven't gotten there yet because we're in this. But we could.
But because there are some libraries I know that actually put all of their general funding in it. And that functions pretty much as their checking account.
Mhm.
And they break up their subcategories by the levy categories. So the corporate account, the audit account, IMRF account, so that money never moves anywhere else where it's not supposed to. So that's something we could consider, but I don't really want to do that yet because I want to keep our checking account where it is now. And that could be a conversation for later once we see, if we decide to move forward with this, how we see that progresses. But that's an example.
But that was the question that we posed to Amber. Is this something, why would we put all our money in there? Is this something that can serve like a checking account? She said, no, that's where we draw the line, I guess.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so we'll reserve the checking account.
I'll make lumps and one lump sum, like once a month, or they'll do it twice, and then they're penalized from that. That would be all questions and research we pursue.
Excellent, Jen. Excellent finance committee. Lots of time and energy and information. Kind of like I'm on overdrive. So, any other questions? Well, this is informational tonight.
Informational. Yep. No objections. Perhaps. You have all the information.
Well, the questions later.
Absolutely. And I went down several rabbit trails looking at the Illinois Funds website, and it was really fascinating. So if you are interested, you can do that. Another perk that we learned in that conversation was e-pay. So state treasurer's office can help with e-pay. That was right. Yeah. So we're on to that. So,
What does that mean?
Barb can explain that.
Yes, so ePay is a service through the Illinois State Treasurer for libraries and other associations. Where it allows, they support you with being able to provide payments, like credit card payments. So like, we've tried to do that before, and I had to go through that whole POS issue, and there's a huge, it's very expensive to have the device for card readers, and then they take a percentage of all of your transactions. And you'd have to go through a really arduous application process for the security feature to have money be transferring through your network. And it was too expensive. We would have lost every cent that we were gaining from our services. And so I opted not to pursue it any further. Through ePay, it eliminates all of that. They already pay for the secure network line. They provide us a device for free to use as a credit card reader, and we can break it all down by categories in-house on our computers. It's all done.
Patrons can use credit cards.
Patrons can use credit card, not for license stickers,
Give them
still,
all.
but for everything else, you can use credit cards, which has been a big block for us.
Wow.
Excitement. I don't know.
I don't have fun finance meeting.
Fun.
Well,
Fun.
all
So
right.
I will go ahead, I'd be happy to send my notes to the board so you can see what I read from and shared tonight, just so like Julie, if we have questions, you can read through that because I did dump a whole bunch on
Yeah, thank you so much for that time and energy put into that. A lot of information that it'll take time to digest.
Yeah.
And look over.
Yeah.
So, very good. All right, let's move on then to the personnel report, which I would like to give. We have revised the timeline for the director evaluation. So you should have gotten that in your board packet. We just added a few more days in each area so that it's just kind of not significant. We just revised that. So there is a new timeline. Julie did send out the evaluation document. Hopefully you all had a chance to look over it. There have been a few changes in that. So if there's anybody would like to have any conversation about any of that evaluation document, if not, we are ready to move that forward. We will proceed with that, and Julie will be sending that to Barb and her staff, senior staff. They will be doing the first evaluation, and on with the timeline from there. Moving on to policy. Matthew.
Policy, do we have the capacity? Yes, we do. A few different policies are coming to you from the policy committee that we're recommending for adoption. The first, let me make sure I'm going in the correct order here.
Investment.
There we go. Public funds policy, investment of public funds policy. So this has gone through both policy committee and finance committee. And what comes with a recommendation from both to adopt. So I'll go ahead and make a motion that we adopt this policy.
We have a motion on the floor to adopt. Discussion.
It's also gone through our order.
Yes, yeah. Thank you. And it's a huge improvement from what we had as far as being able to understand it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. The terminology in it was rather challenging before, so.
which I would also add on the Illinois Funds website. They had their investment of public funds policy, and I opened it and thought, oh, that looks really familiar. So it's pretty good.
I would also like to mention, there are two sections in here that aren't fully established. One is internal controls and the other is like, we use written investment procedures. So those are two categories that are included and recommended by the lawyer, but are not detailed. It's like written out in detail within this policy that is done on purpose. The internal control section is something I am going to draft myself. The committees discussed this and we came to the conclusion that we felt I could draft this, provide updates to the board as that's going. However, it's not necessary to have established prior to adopting this policy as it stands right here. The written investment procedures that I have reached out to Newkirk for, and they're going to help me draft procedures for that section. So the board will be updated as those move forward. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to clarify with either the lawyer or Newkirk as we're working through that. But for the sake of the policy as this stands right now, we felt like this was enough and good to move forward to approve.
Yeah, so basically the policy is calling for written procedures for two different things. One, Barb can start on and get progress going, the other short and either, but we don't need the procedures in the policy itself. So, yeah. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, we will move on then to a motion is on the floor. So we'll need a roll call vote on this. Jen? Aye. Heather?
Aye.
Matthew?
Aye.
Julie? And I say aye. All right, motion carried. Policy is in place. We'll move on then to second action item.
The inclement weather policy, Barb drafted this policy we did not formally have, and so the policy committee worked over this with her and made some changes so that it would be clear what our policy is, but that we're not including procedure in the policy. So that was a lot of our conversation, was removing things that were procedural, allowing Barb to define those things and communicate them to the staff, but not necessarily to have them in the policy itself. So this just basically outlines the things that should happen in one way or another in the case of needing to close because of weather. So I'll move to adopt the inclement weather policy.
Motion on the floor, discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead for a roll call vote. Jen? Aye. Heather?
Aye.
Matthew?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
And Jane, I say aye. And the policy then is passed. We have no executive session, so there would be no action on the results of the executive session. Moving to the upcoming meetings. Next meeting of the policy committee, April 1st, 2025 at 2 o'clock. And our next meeting of the library board, Tuesday, April 8th, 2025 at 6:30. A motion to adjourn?
At
Joan.
7:33.
Jen moves to adjourn at 7:33. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned.